Okay, so let's get started. So yesterday we saw how to install software, and I think your system is up and ready now. So we'll start with serious programming from today. Okay. So we spoke about print yesterday. So what did we say? We said that, okay, this is how we write comment, isn't it? Hash. So we said that print is a function that has a predefined properties. That is to print the content on the screen, right? Okay. So we saw that you can say 5 plus 3, okay, and we saw the difference between 5 plus 3 in quotation and without quotation, right? So if I run, okay, with quotation, it will give as it is. Without quotation, it will evaluate, okay? You can have multiple values in print. That means, you can say something like this. Sorry, something like this. Now, when you say something like this, that means it is going to print as it is, isn't it? 5 plus 3 space equal to. Now, you can even define, okay, the output value, okay? So I'll say comma, and I'll say 5 plus 3. So what did I do? I said 5 plus 3 equal to. Now 5 plus 3 equal to is in quotation. So it will be printed as it is. Comma is to separate arguments. So the values that you pass in functions are called as arguments. So, this is like an argument. Okay, we pass an argument. So here we are passing two set of arguments. So this is one set and this is another set. And arguments are separated using comma. So you can put another comma here, something like this. And you can say, and 6 plus 2 is also comma 6 plus 2. So I'm passing 4 values to print. Print can take any number of values. Okay. Fixed evaluation. Fixed evaluation. So now when I run it, you see, you get 5 plus 3 equal to 8 and 6 plus 2 is also 8. So we have passed 4 different parameters, arguments or parameters, okay? So we have passed 4 different types of values to print. You can have any, you can say comma, you can say anything. Okay. So this is about print, and we are not done today. We will talk only about print. Now, another thing that we want to talk about here, okay, is called the variables. Variables. Okay. So variables, okay, is something to store values. Okay. And why it's called values, why it's called variable is you can keep changing the value that you give. So I'm going to say num1. Okay. So num1, if I put bracket like this, it becomes function. If I don't put bracket, it becomes a variable. Okay. Becomes a variable. Now, I need to first define it. So I'm saying num1 equal to 30. So I'm saying num1 is a variable which has the value 30. Okay. So below we defined a variable num1, okay, called num1, and assigned a value. Now, the reason why it's called variable is after some time, you can even change it to 90. Doesn't matter. Okay. You can change it to any other variable. It doesn't matter. Okay. So you can set it to 90. So values can change. It can change its value. Now I'm saying it's like in mathematics we say, right? X equal to 30. That means we're saying let X be a variable for which your value is 30. We can, in the next problem, we can say let X equal to 50, right? So this is exactly like this. This is exactly how we do in mathematics, okay? X equal to 3 or X equal to 50. Here we are saying X or num1 equal to 30, okay? Okay. Now, there are 5 basic types of basic type I'm talking about. Okay, we have advanced also, we'll see later. Okay, we have 5 basic types of data that it can hold. Okay, so say there are 5 basic types of data. Okay, they are integers. We call it as int in Python. What are integer? Integer are your whole numbers, minus infinity to plus infinity, no decimal values. Okay, so examples are like 45 minus 99, 0. Okay, 67, 678. These are all examples of your integer type. Okay, so this is your first basic type of data. Now, why do we need to know the type of data? See, we need to know the type of data because the operations that we perform, okay, the operation that we perform is dependent on the data. If I tell you, okay, take 2 names and add them, you can't add 2 names, but you can add 2 numbers. So you have to check. If I tell you add 2 values, you need to check, are they integer or are they text? If they are integer, then you can add them. If they are numbers, you can add them. If they are not numbers, you can't add them. So that's why we need to know the type of data. Okay. I'll tell you what is A into B. You'll say, what is A into B? You tell me the value of A and tell me the value of B, right? Okay. So that's why we need to know the type of data. Okay. So here, this is integer, right? Now, second type of data that we'll see today is called float. Okay. Float. Float are your decimal data. Okay, which will have decimal point. Okay, so like 45.7, okay, 99 minus 99.9. Okay, you can have 0.0 also. Now 0.0 is decimal, right? So 0 is integer, 0.0 is float. Okay, then 678.12345678, right? So these are called your float data. Okay, then we have one more numerical data, which probably we will not use after today. It's called complex. Complex are, if you remember your mathematics class, these are square root of -1. Okay, we write in mathematics, we write I, right? 3i. I is square root of iota, or what we call it, right? Yeah. In Python, we write with J. J. Okay, but it is still your square root. So example would be 3 plus 2j. 3 plus 2j means you have 3 integer and then you have 2 imaginary part or complex part. You can say minus 7j. So these are your complex data that we have. Okay, so these 3 together forms the numerical values in Python. Next, we have something called as string. str. We write as str. Okay, this is your text data. This is your text data. Then you have last one is bool. Okay, or we call it as boolean. It has just 2 values. Just 2 values, which are true and false. And remember, okay, I told you Python is case sensitive. So this is how true and false is written. T capital RU is small, F capital ALAC small. So this is to represent yes, no kind of situation. Okay, wherever you have yes, no situation, we write in Boolean format. Okay, so you have Boolean format. Okay, so these are your 5 basic data. Okay, so how do we use it in Python? We'll see this. So when I say num1 equal to 30, okay, one more thing I wanted to tell you here was, see here I did not give space. Okay, but here I gave space. It doesn't matter to Python. As long Python knows that, okay, this, when you say equal to, that means that's equal to cannot be part of variable name. So num1 is variable name equal to and 30. Here you can give, any number of space, it doesn't matter. But you cannot give a space in the beginning. Okay, in Python, see, it's already PyCharm is giving you error. If I run it, you get indentation error. Okay, you get indentation error. Indentation error, and we will see later like when to give space. But for next few classes, we will not give space. Python says that everything starts from position 0. You can give space later, doesn't matter. But in the beginning, you cannot give space. It has to start from 0th character, first character. Okay, you cannot have a space here. This is not true about C, C++, you can write from anywhere. But in Python, it has to be from first position. Yes, if you give space, it will give you error. There are situations, okay? Maybe after a couple of classes, we'll talk about when to give. But for now, okay, we should not give space here, okay? Now, these are your numerical types only, isn't it? And these are your integer type because we have not added decimal. So this is an example where num1 is integer type. So we have a function called type, okay, which gives the type of the data or data type of the data, or we call it as data type. Okay, so when I say type of num1, so when I say type of num1, it will tell me that it is integer, int. Okay, so if I run it, it says that it is integer, but you don't see it. Why don't you see it? Because we have not printed it. The job of type is telling you it is integer. But to show it, to see here, you have to type print, then only you can see it. So I'm going to say print here. Now you see, I'm using 2 functions in the same line. I'm using 2 functions in the same line. So you have print and you have type. Okay. So when you're using functions like one function inside another, you can have any number of such thing. Evaluation always happens from the innermost function. Which is the innermost function here? Type. Now, num1 is not function, num1 is variable, isn't it? So innermost function is type. So type of num1 will tell you integer. And now we are printing it. Then, so first innermost function, then the next outer, finally the outermost. Here we have 2. So first type will output and then print. So when you run it, you get class int. Okay, so this is int. Okay, now everything in Python is treated as class and object. Now, what is class? Class indicates it's a group. Okay, now we'll talk later about class, then we'll come back. For now, you ignore the word class. Class indicates it's a group. Okay, similar group. Okay, similar to integer. So it says it's a group. It belongs to a group called integer. So read in this way that it says that your num1 is a part of group called int. Okay, so they are similar that way. And we'll talk about class and objects later. So that is like, after a few classes, we'll talk about it. So first, so read in this way and ignore the word class, we'll talk about it. So it says that num1 is integer. Okay. Now same num1, if I say here 30.0, and now if I try to, okay, let me copy the entire thing. Now if I try to run it, see it says float. Why? Because we gave 30.0 decimal, right? So decimal is float. Okay. So this is how you have float here. So you can define integer value, you can define float value. Now, if I go here and sorry, if I say 30J, okay, now when I run it, see, it says complex. Now, complex is not important for our understanding. So what we'll do, we'll take one example and we'll finish it off, okay? We will not discuss anything here. So what is 30J square if I say 30J into, this is multiplication sign, okay? 30J into 30J, what do you get? 30J into 30J. 30 into 30 is 900. J into J is? J square is? Minus 1. So, minus 900. That's what you will get. Okay? Minus 900. But we started with a complex value. Since we started with complex value, the output should also be a complex. So, it says 0J. So, it's like 0. You get 0 answer. Okay? Or let's say you get 5 answers. But you started with float. So, it has to be float. What do? You say 0.0. See, 5 is a number, but 5.0 is same as 5. But difference becomes the type. Same thing. Minus 900 plus 0J. 0J is nothing, no value. 0 into J is 0. So it is minus 900 only. But since we started with complex, the output should also be a complex. To make it complex, we are saying it is 0J. It becomes 0J. Okay. So num1 equal to 30, print type of num1 and you get complex type. So we have seen so far integer, float, complex. Okay. Now we will see the other two. Okay. String. Okay. How do you define string? So again, I'm going to say num1. Num1 should not be the right word. Let's say word1, I say. Word1. Now, to define string, it has to be in quotation. Okay. Strings are defined using single quote or double quote or triple single quote or triple double quote. Okay. Now see, there is no difference between single quote and double quote. And there is no difference between triple quotes. But there is difference between single quote and triple quotes. Okay. Which I'll talk about later. We'll have a separate discussion on string. We'll talk about it. For now, you can use any of these quotation to declare a text data or string data. So I'm saying here single quote, hello. Okay. Now, remember, you can use any quotation, single, double, triple, okay. But whatever you start with, same thing you have to end with. So if I start with single quote, I have to end with single quote only. If I start with double quote, I have to end with double quote only. I cannot use single and then end with double, nothing. Okay, it will not accept. Okay. So for now, we will not discuss much about string because we will, talk about it later. So just to show you, okay, print type of word1, it is string. Okay, this says that this is data type of this, or the data type of word1 is string. You can also say, okay, word1 equal to 5. Now 5 is an integer, but if you put it in text, it becomes a word, not a number. It is a text data. If you put in quotation, it becomes a text data. No longer it's a number. Okay. So when I say 5 here, you see, it's this string. Because we put it in Quotation, yeah. So quotation is always text. Okay. So now you have fifth data type, which is called Boolean. Now, Boolean indicates yes or no. Okay. So it has just two values, true and false, nothing else it can have. So I will say B1, okay, so indicate Boolean. Now I will put true without quotation, okay, true without quotation. Without quotation is Boolean. The moment I put quotation, it becomes which data? String, right? So if I say here print type of B1, so you see, it says string. Okay. The moment I will copy, okay, let me control C and control V here. I don't put quotation here. When I don't put quotation, now I try to type B1. Okay, see, it says Boolean. Okay, so Boolean means true or false. So we will see tomorrow itself or Monday itself when we meet, we'll talk about when to use Boolean. Okay, true or false. Okay, to indicate true or false. So you have, and very important. Okay, this is very important part of programming. Okay, so you have seen 5 different types of data. Okay, so these are the different data types. Okay, in the next session, we will do some more operations on that. But before we go there, let's do few more basic stuff about Python. So the first thing that, okay, I want to show you is, here you see print. Let's say I say hello, right? Now, the moment, we are writing another command here, right? Or I'll say a equal to 45, and then I say print a. Okay. So I said print hello. I'm saying a equal to 45, and I'm saying print a. So it will replace a with the value 45 because I have said a. Now, if I do a in quotation, this is the common mistake when new programmers make. Okay. When to use quotation, when not to use quotation. When to use quotation? When you want it to print as it is, as it is. And when you want to print the value, then you have to see here. So when I say print A, it gave me the value of A. But when I said print A in quotation, it gave me A as it is. Okay. So this is how we use like quotation and non-quotation. Perfect. Okay. One more thing you see here, you have these statements, isn't it? If I put a semicolon, okay, now, C, C++, Java, they have semicolon. Why do they have semicolon? To indicate that it is end of a line. Okay, we put semicolon to indicate it's a end of a line. So in Python also you have semicolon. Okay, so you can put semicolon, no problem. What Python says is if you hit enter, okay, if you are hitting enter and you are typing A from the very first position, then I know that it is a new line. You don't have to tell me semicolon. By looking at it, I know it's the next line. Now, that's why when you put indentation, it doesn't look like a new line. It looks like as if this is part of this. That's why it gave error. But when you don't give indentation, if you begin from very first position, it means that it's a new line. It's a new start, okay? So you don't have to tell me that semicolon. So that's why in Python, okay, semicolon is there, but it's not mandatory. Okay, it says you don't have to tell me about semicolon. You don't have to tell me about semicolon. Okay. And okay, but let's say for some reason, I want to put two statements together. For some reason, I want to put a equal to 45 and print a together. Okay, So in this case, if you see, you can do it. Now, in this case, I have to use semicolon. Okay, because I'm putting all of them together in one line. So Python will not know that they are different line or same line. If I don't give semicolon, it will treat as same line and tell you it's error. I don't understand what you are doing. So it's like this. When you're writing English, so when you're writing each line in each sentence of the content in each line, you don't have to give full stop. Okay, you're writing one sentence, second sentence, third sentence, you don't have to give full stop. But if you're writing multiple sentences together, then you have to give full stop. Otherwise, it's a different meaning, isn't it? Something similar you can say. So semicolon is like full stop. So if you're putting them together in one line, you put it. If you're putting in different line like this, then you don't have to use semicolon. So most probably, this is how we do it. This is very confusing, right? So this is how we do it, and that's why you will not find semicolon in any of the Python program. But it is there. You can use it. Okay. So this is about semicolon. Now, okay. So I'll take some simple example today, and then we will take more examples in the next session. Now, let's say I have something called cost. Okay. So cost is called variable name, right? We are going to assign a value to it. It's called variable name. What it says is variable name should begin with alphabets or underscore, no numbers. So let me write it here. Your variables, okay, can have alphabets, numbers, and underscore. So how many alphabets are there? 26 plus 26, 52, right? Python is case sensitive, so capital and small are different, isn't it? So you can have small a to z, capital A to z, and numbers. So 52 plus 10, 0 to 9, 62 plus underscore, 63. These 63 characters are only allowed. These 63 characters are only allowed. So that is first point. And second point is variable name cannot start with a number. So I cannot say num1. Sorry, I cannot say one num. Num1 is fine, but one num is not fine. You cannot say one num. So it cannot start with number. So these two rules you have to remember. You cannot start with number, and it can only take alphabet, number, and underscore. So cost equal to 45 and cost equal to say 55. Now these two variables are different because Python is case sensitive, I told you, right? So this is small and this is capital. C guys, capital, and this is small. So, okay, so Python will be able to understand, but sometimes, our eyes, we may not be able to differentiate the height, correct? So what happens? We'll think that, oh, these are same variables. So that's why, to avoid confusion in programming, don't try to use something like this. Always use small letters because that's what we are expecting. So Python will be able to read. Python can differentiate. So there's no problem with the program. But people who are working with your program will get confused. Will say, why this guy is writing 45 cost and now he's saying 55 cost. Okay. But you might be trying to say cost of potato is 45, cost of beans is 65. Your intention could be different. But but your friend who's going to look at your program will get confused, right? So if you want, you can say cost potato, right? Cost tomato, right? Write something like this. Now, this is called mnemonics in the sense, when you see these variables, you can easily find out the intention of the programmer. You see, when it's not only someone, you are yourself, when you come after 1 month to look at your program, you will get confused with your own code. So as much as possible, make it more human friendly. Python friendly, not required. Python can read anything. Okay. But when you read these names, cost potato, okay, so I'm storing the cost of potato here. Cost tomato, oh, okay, I'm storing cost of tomato here. right? So it itself gives you some meaning to you, right? For Python, even if you give this, it's okay. Python will not get confused as long as they're using same variable names everywhere. But when you see this, you'll be wondering, what is this? Why this fellow has done something like this? So don't do such things, okay? Try to make nice looking variables which gives a meaning to it. Okay, so like cost of potato 45, cost of tomato 55. Okay, quantity. Or you see the QTY, right? QTY potato equal to 30 kg. So now total cost potato is cost potato into quantity potato, right? And I can print something like this here. Cost of each kg or cost of potato is comma cost potato. So I can say cost of potato is rupees, cost potato, okay, per kg, right? So when you run it, so it says cost of potato is rupees 45 per kg. If you change it to 35, it becomes 35 here automatically. That's the advantage of putting outside the quotation. I can directly put rupees 45 per kg, but then you can't change it, right? Tomorrow, if somebody says it becomes 65, you can't change it. You'll still have 45 here. So this text will never change, right? Cost of potato is rupees. This cost will never change, right? But this is that's why we say variable. That's why we say variable, because this is going to change every time. Every day it changes, isn't it? So cost of potato per kg. So for the quantity potato kg, cost would be rupees, total cost potato. So when you run it, you see, it says cost of potato is rupees 35 per kg. So for the 30 kg, cost would be 1050. Okay, we are only thinking about what text to put. We are not worried about the value, the calculation is correct or not, because calculation will be correct only. If you do it correctly, calculation will be correct. So tomorrow, if you change the quantity to 37, also, you don't have to change anything else. You simply run this, it will automatically change the values. Okay, this is how we say we should be using print variables together. Okay, now this line is too big. Okay, now it's not fitting onto the screen. You can break it into 2 lines. Okay, so at comma, if you hit enter, you can break it into 2 lines. But if you were to break it somewhere here, you see PyCharm will actually do it for work. So, it's put quotation here and then begin with quotation here. Okay, but the best thing is you put it after comma. Okay, so it comes here and so see, no error, right? Now, this is continuation of first line. That's why you don't have to put it from the beginning. You can put it in the beginning, no problem. But you don't have to put it because it's anyway part of. So when it says comma, Python knows, okay, something else is coming. Okay, something else is coming. Will I say full stop? That means if I close the bracket, then it will not accept this.
And that will be
new line, correct. But since I put comma, it knows that line is not yet complete. Right. So it comes here and you do that. Okay. So this is one way of doing this. Now there's another way of doing this, and that will be our last topic for today, is called F string, format string. Okay. Sometimes, okay, this can be confusing. Okay. Oh, what, bracket, quotation close, comma, quotation close, it can be confusing, right? So there is another way of doing same thing. And generally when there are more than 2 variables, I use F string. 1 or 2 variables, I use directly like this. If there are more than 2 variables to handle, I prefer F string. So what F string says is print you put F and quotation. Again, quotation can be single or double, no problem. I just put F here before quotation. There is no F here. Here I put F. Now what I'll do, I will copy the text as it is and paste it here. Now when you run it, obviously, values will be put like this only, right? But you want this 35 to be replaced with cost potato, isn't it? So you replace the value with the variable and you put in the bracket here. Because if you don't put bracket, then Python will not know that it is a text or a variable. Okay. Like for example, I put quantity potato, but it doesn't know that it is a variable. It treats it as a text only. To make it like a variable, you have to put a curly bracket, flower bracket. Okay. You have to put flower bracket. Okay. So you have to put flower bracket here. Okay. So that's how Python knows, okay, you want to replace this text with a variable. Now, advantage of doing this is that you don't have to, close code, open code. That's kind of gets confusing. Okay. So see, only one single code, right? So far. And you get same answer.
Yeah, the same answer, but it is in some other, like there are two models. First one it will like a confusing of like positions and middle.
Yeah.
Okay. It is the only one position.
Correct.
It's called a string format.
F string, format string, F string. We call it as F string. Okay. F string stands for format string. Okay. It's called F string. Okay. F string. So we'll stop here for today. Okay. We'll continue from here tomorrow.